Stassi's demeanor in the early seasons caught me off guard. I used to think she was great TV, but revisiting season 1 has been eye-opening. She comes off so insecure and often unkind to others. I had completely forgotten about her intense texts to Laura Lee. Her entire persona seemed centered on being mean, which now feels cringeworthy to watch as an adult. It's evident she struggled with insecurity and felt the need to assert herself as the queen bee to earn respect in Lay, resembling a character from a bad high school movie. It's ironic how they all talked about aspiring to be singers and actors, yet Laura Lee was the only one to land a recognizable role. Regarding Stassi's departure from Bravo, it seemed necessary and ultimately worked out for the best. However, Stassi's confessionals were undeniably reality TV gold. Despite her mean girl reputation, her insights on people like Jax, Sandoval, and Scheana were spot on. She seemed to have a knack for choosing the wrong partners. Her initial interactions with Beau, though amusing, hinted at her past troubled relationships. While Jax was a cheating jerk, Patrick was a walking red flag. She was undeniably pivotal to the show, and considering she was navigating early adulthood in LA on reality TV, I can't help but wonder how I would have fared in her shoes. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually loved Stassi when I first started watching the show. In reality TV, I appreciate when someone isn't afraid to embrace their role as the stone-cold, sometimes villainous character. To be fair, if I were in a friend group where, at 23, my cheating ex unexpectedly showed up at my birthday, followed by everyone else yelling at me, and then being insulted and drenched in a drink by my best friend's boyfriend, leaving me alone and in tears while my friends engaged in a brawl with a shirtless, coked-up guy in the parking lot, I might be a bit abrasive too. Stassi was only 22 or 23 when the show started, after all, and very young. I shudder to think how I might have reacted in her place on a reality show at that age. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Spill Chronicles. It's me, Ramona here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. On the other hand, Ariana Madix's career prospects are looking bright, especially with her impressive stint on Love Island USA. She's been doing exceptionally well, and I hope she gets the opportunity to fully host and also do Aftersun in Season 7. Her ability to conduct insightful interviews with the dumped Islanders showcases her potential as a host and broadcaster. Looking ahead, I envision Ariana excelling in hosting and broadcasting roles. She has the charisma and confidence needed for the job. I could easily see her in a Mario Lopez-style role, covering news, red carpet events, and hosting awards shows. While she may not pursue a career in movies, I believe she's earning deserved recognition for Love Island's success, and could attract sponsorships, perhaps even landing deals like Maybelline, but in a modern influencer capacity rather than a 90s supermodel style. It would be great to see her in productions like Chicago, a steady presence that allows for flexibility, similar to her interest in Little Shop of Horrors. Regarding her passion for musical theater, she could continue with stunt casting roles, though further training in voice, drama, and dance would be necessary for long-term roles at Broadway levels. However, she shows promise to reach that level with her current talents. I could definitely picture Ariana in a minor role on a show like American Horror Story or exploring voice acting in adult animation series such as Rick and Morty or South Park. She seems more suited to TV roles than movies, and whatever opportunities come her way, I hope she seizes them and continues to thrive. Despite not being a fan before, I'm genuinely happy to see her succeeding. And personally, I'm grateful to Ariana for introducing me to Love Island. My husband and I are hooked on the show this season since she started hosting. However, my friend was working in Boys Tonight and ended up serving Kristen Doute. He mentioned that she and her friends were extremely nice and tipped well. I was pleasantly surprised, as I had thought she might be difficult, but kudos to her for being great to the servers. Most people who've worked in the industry tend to tit well, especially once they start making real money. I say most because some people who know how tough the industry is still don't tip. Those guys. Sandoval would probably be one of them. I initially misread this as Kristen seems like she would be a great stripper. She's always been particularly nice to restaurant and bar staff on the show, often noticeably kinder than others, sometimes almost excessively so. I think once people realize Kristen is more reactive than malicious, they might find it easier to like her again. She's constantly gaslit and portrayed as crazy, when in reality, she's just very emotional and perhaps too empathetic. The Valley has been a clear redemption for her in my eyes. I liked her on VPR, but the edit and everyone else made it hard to like her because she was always so chaotic. Once you take the time to understand her, it all makes sense. It's great to see people on the Valley starting to see that too. Additionally, I'm starting to believe that everyone on Vanderpump Rules is just playing a role. Watching Ariana on the show, I always found her somewhat uninteresting and snobbish. However, seeing her on Love Island, she appears incredibly positive and pleasant. Reality TV isn't a true reflection of people's personalities, and watching Ariana on both Vanderpump Rules and Love Island really highlighted how reality TV stars can portray vastly different personas on different shows. Another example is Max Boyens, who was portrayed as a jerk on Season 8 of Vanderpump Rules. Yet, when I met him in person at Schwartz and Sandy's, he was actually really nice. On the other hand, a friend who met Jack said he was quite unpleasant in person. My takeaway is that we should view these shows primarily as entertainment rather than reflections of reality. Many of the conflicts and arguments are likely exaggerated or even fabricated by the cast and producers to create compelling TV for viewers. It seems Tom and Ariana were always focused on their business ventures, and Ariana used her time on the show to advance her career. Good for her. I enjoy shows like Vanderpump Rules because each character has their flaws and strengths, making their interactions dynamic and intriguing. I find myself both liking and disliking characters at different times, which has kept me hooked on the show for over a decade. Comparing Ariana's portrayal on Vanderpump Rules to her role as a hostess is misleading. She plays different roles on different shows, just as we all show different sides of ourselves in various situations. Fans often project their own desires and assumptions onto these reality TV stars, living vicariously through them and making sweeping judgments about their personal and professional lives. I'm sure that playing a character is common, as I've heard cast members from other shows discuss how they were coached by production throughout seasons. Moreover, I was listening to a Vanderpump Rules podcast last week, and the hosts mentioned Scheana hanging out with Jeremy Madix's fiancé. They were going somewhere, though I can't recall exactly where. Scheana also hosted an engagement party and a birthday celebration for him. Is she trying to get them on Vanderpump Rules to create a storyline for herself, especially since Ariana and Jeremy aren't currently on speaking terms? If so, I really don't want to see him on the show, and it would be pretty low of Scheana if that's her intention. I truly hope Ariana is receiving lots of offers right now and can eventually step away from the show. While Vanderpump Rules offers good money for 3 months of work, I hope she finds something that matches or exceeds that salary. I started watching Love Island because of her and stayed because it's just wild. Her appearances are always a highlight. The Islanders literally lose it when she shows up. Jeremy has already been on the show, and some, including Stassi, found him creepy with video evidence to back it up. He also seemed to lack personality and shared intimate details about his relationship with Ariana. I don't think he's a good fit for the show, but sometimes producers make questionable decisions, so they might add him. Could someone update me on why Jeremy and Ariana aren't talking, or is that still unclear? Jeremy claimed Ariana was racist toward his fiancée and said he would side with his fiancée over Ariana because she's his priority. However, he didn't provide concrete examples to support his accusations of microaggressions. It was a hurtful claim, and I'm glad it didn't gain traction. Accusing Ariana of something like that at the height of her fame, without evidence, was really unfair. On the other hand, I'm watching Vanderpump Rules Season 8 for the first time, and I had to pause. Tonight, I did something I've never done before, flipped someone off at the TV. Here I am, watching Sandoval act like a sulky child because Stassi organized her book signing with Schwartz and Lisa, not him. Bo summed it up perfectly. When I first met Tom Sandoval, I thought he was cool, and now, he's kind of a jerk. Those words hit the nail on the head. And he was even worse yelling at Bo with that ridiculous fake mustache, claiming the customers at his bar were his. Rewatching now, this season really marks a turning point where he becomes openly unpleasant. Sure, they all have their moments of being awful, but something shifted around the Season 7 reunion. Tom seemed to lose it when Jax insulted Raquel, supposedly defending James, but clearly more upset about the slight against Raquel. I don't know if the facade just cracked or what, but even when Kristen slept with Jax, he punched Jax without the same level of screaming and rage seen in later seasons. It seems like he really unleashed his anger in subsequent seasons, with the blow-up with Stassi just one of many examples. I think his ego was always there, but being chosen by LVP as a partner really inflated it, turning him into an even more entitled jerk. Many of them have changed over the seasons. I used to dislike Stassi, but now find her compelling this season. I was indifferent toward Scheana at the start, but since the Rob era, I just can't with her anymore. Br@. When this happened, it was so shocking that I genuinely wondered if Tom was exaggerating for a storyline. Even Stassi, who already had issues with Tom, was taken aback by his behavior. However, does anyone else think Schwartz and Sandoval remind you of Nick and Schmidt from New Girl? They're the classic best friend duo. One is a goofy, commitment-phobic, somewhat clumsy drunk, and the other is uptight, ambitious, and a bit of a metrosexual. They co-own a bar together, and their dynamic is oddly similar to Nick and Schmidt's from New Girl, minus the growth and redemption arc, of course. As a new watcher currently on Season 6, I find it highly amusing to see them defended passionately against the Tom villains. Their friendship dynamic is reminiscent of Nick and Schmidt, although Schwartz and Sandoval lack any growth or redeemable qualities. To clarify, as a superfan of New Girl, Nick and Schmidt are far more endearing and likable than Schwartz and Sandoval, who, let's face it, have zero redeeming qualities. However, Schwartz and Sandoval's friendship does loosely remind me of Nick and Schmidt's dynamic. Additionally, seeing Lala's baby shower made me feel a bit melancholy knowing she chose to go through pregnancy alone due to her past experiences with men. While she may come across as bitter, and perhaps karma played a role in her past relationship struggles, everyone deserves love and a sense of importance. Despite not having a loving partner by her side, as she would prefer, it's clear she's surrounded by abundant love from family and friends. Ultimately, she'll receive that love and support, especially from her children. It's evident that all she's ever wanted is love, and when she loves, she does so deeply. On a different note, she could have been one of the show's standout personalities if she shed her confrontational attitude. She's much more likable when she lets go of that demeanor. I do hope she finds the right person and experiences love as she desires. However, she may need to consider changing her approach. Continuing with her current attitude might hinder her from achieving a healthy, stable relationship. We've seen how she interacts with her partners, and it's not always easy to watch. Moreover, I've seen a post on social media suggesting Ally is using James for clout, and I agree with that perspective. Sometimes I wonder if Dane is doing the same with Ariana. Dan, a fitness trainer who isn't widely known, might indeed be using Ariana for exposure to grow his brand. Similarly, Ally, aspiring to be a singer and astrologist, could be leveraging her relationship with James for visibility to pursue her dreams. Both relationships come across as somewhat forced to me. Dan often seems to try too hard, and I sometimes get the sense he's more into Ariana than she is into him, similar to how James appears more invested in Ally than she seems in him. I don't sense chemistry in either of these relationships. They feel more like friendships with benefits than passionate love affairs. Dan's reluctance to appear on Vanderpump Rules could be his attempt to avoid looking like he's using Ariana for exposure. Instead, he can gain visibility through Instagram by posting about her, tagging her, and engaging with her posts, all without being on the show. This strategy allows him to maintain control over the visibility of their relationship, unlike if it were documented on TV. If Dan is indeed with Ariana for exposure, it would be disappointing, especially considering the pain she went through last year after the scandal. I hope he genuinely cares for her for the right reasons, though this is just my opinion. What are your thoughts? Note: my intention isn't to criticize or be negative toward anyone, just to discuss and understand the situation. Regarding Dan, it's true we haven't seen much of him because he avoided filming. This limits the basis for judgment about his intentions. I've actually seen more of Victoria than Dan, so I have a stronger opinion about her potentially using Tom for exposure than I do about Dan. Time will tell if there's a season 12 for further insights. From what I observe, Dan seems very supportive and prefers to stay out of the spotlight. He also has more flexibility in his schedule compared to Ariana, who's been incredibly busy since they met, which might create a perception of imbalance. However, they genuinely seem to enjoy each other's company, especially evident in their recent Fiji trip photos where Ariana looks genuinely happy. A significant indicator for me is Dan's reluctance to be filmed for Vanderpump Rules. Unlike Brock, who eagerly joined the show to gain exposure and integrate into the cast, Dan chose to mostly hang out with friends off-camera until the finale, supporting Ariana during her work commitments. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.